Turn on your television on any given Sunday, and you will see a dozen different shows glorifying the exact same lie. You see people swinging sledgehammers, tearing down drywall, arguing with lazy contractors, and stressing over the color of the kitchen cabinets. They call it flipping houses. The media has convinced the middle class that the ultimate path to real estate wealth is to put on a hard hat, cover yourself in dust, and manually force a broken house back together. I am going to tell you a brutal truth today. House flipping is not investing. House flipping is a highly stressful, high-risk construction management job. You are trading your time and your sanity for a one-time paycheck. During the California gold rush of the 1850s, hundreds of thousands of men traveled across the country to dig in the dirt. They starved, they fought, and the vast majority of them died completely broke. Do you know who actually got rich during the gold rush? The guys selling the shovels. Today, I am going to teach you how to stop digging in the dirt. I am going to teach you how to put down the hammer, step away from the construction site, and step into the most powerful position in the American economy. Today, you are going to learn how to become the bank. This is Property Path. Stop working for real estate. It is time to make real estate work for you. To understand the sheer power of private money lending, you have to understand why the real estate market is completely addicted to it. When a house flipper finds a distressed property, a house with a caved-in roof, fire damage, or black mold, they cannot go to Bank of America or Chase to get a mortgage. Traditional banks have strict underwriting guidelines. They only lend on properties that are habitable. If a house does not have a working kitchen or a functional heating system, a traditional bank will absolutely refuse to fund the deal. So where does the flipper get the $200,000 they need to buy and renovate that broken house? They are forced to go to the private market. They go to hard money lenders or private money lenders. They come to people like you. Because the flipper is desperate for capital and cannot use traditional banking, you dictate the terms. You hold all the power, and the terms you dictate are incredibly aggressive. When a traditional bank lends money to a homeowner, they charge 6 or 7% interest over 30 years. When you, as a private money lender, lend money to a house flipper, you charge 10, 12, or even 15% annualized interest, and you do not wait 30 years to get your money back. Your loan is a short-term, 6 to 12-month contract, but it gets better. You do not just charge interest, you also charge points. A point is simply 1% of the total loan amount, charged up front as an origination fee. The standard in the private lending industry is to charge 2 points. Let me break down the undisputed math of how you extract massive wealth without ever touching a piece of real estate. Let's say you have $100,000 sitting in a savings account. Right now, your bank is paying you a pathetic 4% a year. You are losing money to inflation every single day. You decide to deploy the bank strategy. You find an experienced local house flipper who needs $100,000 to fund a 6-month project. You agree to lend them the money at 12% interest and 2 points. The day you wire the money to the title company to close the deal, you instantly charge your 2 points. That is 2% of $100,000. $2,000 goes directly into your pocket on day one, just for granting them access to your capital. For the next 6 months, the flipper is out there sweating. They are dealing with the city inspectors. They are firing bad plumbers. They are stressing about the housing market. What are you doing? Absolutely nothing. You are playing golf. You are spending time with your family. You are operating your primary business. Every single month, the flipper sends you an interest-only payment of $1,000. Month 1, $1,000. Month 2, $1,000. You collect $6,000 in interest over the life of the loan. At the end of month 6, the flipper finishes the house, sells it to a retail buyer, and when the deal closes, the title company wires your original $100,000 directly back into your account. Let's look at the return. You made $2,000 up front and $6,000 in interest. You generated an $8,000 profit in 6 months on a $100,000 investment. You annualized a 16% return on your money. And you did it with 0 manual labor, 0 tenant complaints, and 0 construction risk. You sold the shovel. You are the bank. Now, I know exactly what the terrified amateurs are screaming at their screens right now. But what if the flipper goes bankrupt? What if they take my $100,000 and flee the country? What if the house burns down? This is too risky. That is the mindset of an uneducated retail consumer. You are a transaction engineer. You do not operate on trust. You operate on ironclad legal paperwork and mathematical leverage. When you lend money to a flipper, you do not just hand them a personal check and shake their hand. You secure your money against the physical asset. At the closing table, 2 documents are recorded at the county courthouse. The first is the promissory note. This is the IOU. This dictates the interest rate, the points, and the timeline. The second and most important document is the mortgage or the deed of trust. This legal instrument places a first position lien on the property. A first position lien means you are the absolute supreme dictator of that piece of real estate. You are in front of the IRS, you are in front of the contractors' mechanics liens, and you are in front of the flipper. If the flipper stops paying you, or if they abandon the project, you do not lose your money. You execute the ultimate defense mechanism, you foreclose. You take the legal paperwork to an attorney, you initiate a foreclosure, and you seize the property. You wipe the flipper out entirely, but taking the property back is only safe if you follow the golden rule of private lending. If you break this rule, you will go bankrupt. If you follow it, you are mathematically bulletproof. Write this down. It is called the maximum allowable loan to value, the 70% ARV rule. You never, under any circumstances, lend more than 70% of what the house will be worth when it is completely finished. Let me explain the math. The flipper brings you a deal. They say, when I fix this house, it will sell for $200,000. That is the after repair value, the ARV. You take that $200,000 and you multiply it by 70%. That equals $140,000. $140,000 is your absolute maximum exposure. That is the maximum amount you will lend them for the purchase price and the renovation budget combined. Why 70%? Because it builds a massive 30% equity cushion into the deal. It is your blast shield. Let's say the absolute worst case scenario happens. You lend the flipper the $140,000. 3 months later, the flipper gets hit by a bus, or they go completely bankrupt. The project stops. You initiate foreclosure, and you take the property back. You now own a property that is partially renovated, and you have $140,000 invested in it. Because you followed the 70% ARV rule, you have a massive margin of safety. You do not have to finish the house. You can put that unfinished house on the market tomorrow morning for a fire sale price of $170,000. Another investor will buy it immediately because it is a great deal. You get your original $140,000 back, you pay your attorney fees, and you still walk away with a $20,000 profit on a deal that completely failed. When you lend at 70% LTV, you win if the flipper succeeds, and you win even bigger if the flipper fails. Heads you win, tails you win. That is how the banking system operates. Now, the final objection from the middle class: I don't have $100,000 in the bank to lend out. You do not need your own money to be a private lender. You just need to control the transaction. You can use the funds inside your self-directed IRA or solo for $101,000 to lend tax-free. You can tap into the home equity line of credit HELOC on your primary residence, borrow from the bank at 8%, and lend it to the flipper at 12%, pocketing the 4% spread. Or you become a private money broker. You find a wealthy doctor or a local business owner who has cash sitting in the bank doing nothing. You find a flipper who needs money. You connect the two. You underwrite the deal, you protect the doctor with the 70% ARV rule, and you charge a 1% broker fee at closing. The doctor makes the interest, the flipper gets the house, and you just made $2,000 for introducing to people and reading a spreadsheet. Stop romanticizing the labor of real estate. The wealthy do not swing hammers. They do not paint walls. They deploy capital, they secure it with first position liens, and they let other people do the sweating. I want you to take action today. Go to Facebook and join your local Real Estate Investors Association group. Make a post that says, I am looking to deploy private capital on first position fix and flip deals in this city. Max 70% ARV. Watch how fast your inbox fills up with desperate flippers begging for your capital. Stop playing the game. Become the casino. Become the bank. I will see you at the closing table.